Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so welcome everyone back to Gita Life. Today we are going to be discussing chapter 1 entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Okay? And what we are going to be doing is that each chapter is going to be summarized by an acronym. An acronym is basically any word where each letter of the word stands for something. Okay? So the acronym for this chapter is called doubt. Okay? So before we start, let us pray. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Alright. So, because this is going to be a very interactive class, I want to understand from you guys, what do you understand by the word doubt? What do you think doubt means? Confusion?
Not sure.
Not sure? Yeah?
Don't understand.
Not understanding? Yeah?
Questioning.
All valid. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, the definition of doubt is there is a feeling of uncertainty or there is a lack of conviction in something. Okay? Now what can cause a person to doubt? What causes one to doubt? So in life, there are many things that we do. And sometimes we do things subconsciously. Right? So these are known as our inner maps. Like imagine you're going on a journey and you've got like a GPS map system, right? You've got like a GPS map system, and all of a sudden the GPS doesn't work anymore. What do you feel? You feel lost. You feel like, oh my God, where am I? I'm lost. All this time you're going autopilot. You might not know it, but you might be going on autopilot. So in life, our inner maps are made up of two things. One, it is made up of the values, our value system, and two is what gives us pleasure. Okay? So two things. And actually, every action that we take is got these two considerations. Okay? So somewhere you might want to draw this down, but think of, can you see with the green pen? So, in one way, we look at what is valuable to us, and another thing is what is pleasurable to us. Yeah? Any activity which seems valuable and is also pleasurable, that thing we will love to do. Right? Now, complete opposite is when we see no value and it's not even pleasurable. When this sort of thing happens, we will see what this means, okay, later on. So, ideally, we want something that has value and something that is pleasurable. In school, how many of you like going to school? How many of you find it pleasurable when you went to school? You found it pleasurable? Okay, so most people don't find going to school pleasurable. But, is there value in going to school? Yes. So basically going to school for most of you is somewhere here. So even though you might not find it pleasurable, you still feel that there is an inherent value for you going to school. Yes or no? Yes. So you still do it. Yeah, so this is okay. This is okay. Sometimes you do a lot of things which are pleasurable but have no value. Yeah? It doesn't add any value to your life, just like going to the beach or going to, say, a bowling alley. These are things that we do for pleasure, but they don't add value to our life in that way. So these two boxes of quadrants is where we normally spend most of our life. But when we do want to really spend our life is where something we find pleasurable and at the same time it's valuable. So now pleasure is a faculty of the mind. The mind always wants to be entertained. The mind is always looking for pleasure. And value is the faculty of the intelligence. Okay? So when the intelligence and mind are both aligned, that is when somebody loves to do what they do. Okay? So, example. How many of you have ever been on a roller coaster ride? Roller coaster. Okay. How many of you find value and pleasure in going on a roller coaster? Value? Pleasure? Pleasure. Right? So, some people really love going on a roller coaster, some people just hate it. Absolutely hate it. So, everyone has got their own definitions of what they value and what they find pleasurable. So, depending on what your system is like, you will either go towards the roller coaster or you will run the other way out. Okay? So, but what can happen is sometimes we might value two things, but they can collide. So, an event can happen which can collide. These are known as life quakes. Okay, a life quake is when it causes a functional failure of our inner maps. Sometimes it's very clear cut that I value security over adventure. Yeah, in roller coasters. What if you value both security and adventure? Then what do you do? Yeah. So life quakes is a special term, but everyone has heard of earthquakes, right? Everyone has heard of earthquakes. So an earthquake is like an event that significantly affects an entire life trajectory. So like for example, in 2001, there was earthquakes in Bhuj. How many of you know about that? Right? What happens in an earthquake? Yeah? Houses, they were leveled. The shops, which were like the sole source of income for people, even those were leveled. Buildings came crashing down and it basically killed family members. So imagine the people who were living in Bhuj at that time. Maybe they were having a shop, maybe they were having family. In an instant, shop has gone down to the ground, so they've lost all source of income. Two, the family has been crushed by falling buildings. So what the person is actually looking for in life, automatically everything has become zero. What they live for has become zero. Can you imagine how traumatic that experience might be for a person in that situation? That all of a sudden, whatever they held valuable in their life is all gone. All gone. Similarly, life quakes are events in our life that can throw us off guard. Yeah, they can just throw us off guard. Now let me give you an example. Say there is a doctor. Okay? A doctor has got this situation. It's a dilemma. They value their oath as a doctor to save lives. But then they also value their family. Okay? Now imagine there's a situation that as part of one of his cases, there is a patient. A patient has come to him. Now that patient requires an organ transplant. If that patient gets an organ transplant, there is a 90% chance of survival. And at the same time, the doctor's son has met with a very serious accident. And the doctor's son has a 10% chance of survival. Okay? But here's the great thing, that the son's organ is a perfect match for this patient. What should the doctor do? But if he transplants, then definitely the son is going to die. 10% chance goes to 0. So what does the person do then? What would you guys do? Huh? But then that means that your son will die. And then you're saving a stranger.
Still, that's saving.
Yeah, but would you not rather have your son?
He has only a 10% chance. He's gonna die.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
there are two opinions here.
Yeah.
If the son would be conscious enough to answer that question, he would say,
No, he's not. He's
he's
not.
not conscious. Fine. As a father, it's not an easy decision for him to make, to kill his son.
Yes.
Or that the son would not survive.
So these are called like dilemmas in which two things that you value really much in your life are now conflicted, right? They are hitting head on. Now imagine the situation that it would cause your mind. Just think of yourself, like really think. If you are in this situation, what will be going through your mind? Can somebody tell me what will be going through your mind?
It would be chaotic.
Chaotic. Anything else? Anxiety stricken.
Stressful.
Stressful. Right? Okay, I want you to remember all these words that we're telling right now. Really remember them. Okay? So, now, these dilemmas that occur, they can disorient us. And they can make us very much distressed. Okay? Now, there are varying degrees of distress. Okay? There are varying degrees. So, distress can come in different ways. At the minimum, it is dissatisfaction. But at the most extreme, it is devastation. Okay? Now, I want you to tell me three things. There are three things. There is something known as a emotional crisis, an ethical crisis, and then there is the existential crisis. What is the difference in all of these three types of crises? What is the emotional crisis? What is an ethical crisis? And what is the existential crisis? Yes. Which one are you defining?
My view.
Which one are you defining? Define one.
One. Existential crisis.
Okay, existential. What is existential crisis?
Potentially life-threatening.
Potentially life-threatening. Okay? Anyone else?
For me, it's saying about emotional crisis. So, like the example just you gave right now, so that would be like that would be emotional crisis.
Emotional crisis. Okay?
Yeah.
What else? Yes?
The same example will be an ethical crisis as well.
Yeah. Okay, so very simple. An emotional crisis is when somebody knows what is the right thing to do. They know what is the right thing to do, but they are unable to follow it. It's very difficult for them. Ethical is a bit harder. Ethical is what is the right thing to do. In emotional, you know what is the right thing to do, but it's difficult to follow it through. And ethical is, there might be two right things, but which one is more right? What is the right thing to do? I don't know. And existential is even worse. Like, I don't even know what is the right thing to do. Yeah? Whatever I do is a wrong thing. Whatever path I take is a wrong thing. At that point, every action seems to be like a disaster scenario. Here at least if you choose one of the two, you're at least doing something right. But here, Lord, doesn't matter which path you take, you feel like it is all going to be a disaster. So it really affects you at the core because you really understand like, what is the point of living? Existential is to exist. When you have an existential crisis, you'll be like, there's no point in even existing because whatever I have to do is very bad. Yeah, it's very bad. So these are the three levels of crisis that I want to bring out. So this is something like in colloquial language is called damned if you do, damned if you don't. So now imagine you are a military officer. Say you're a military officer and you are tasked with leading a mission of neutralizing a group of terrorists which are planning an imminent attack in a major city. Okay? However, when you get there with your team, the terrorists have taken innocent lives and used them as human shields. They've used them as human shields, and you cannot make a precise attack. Yeah? So, what are the two options that you have? The two options are either you carry on with the mission or you abort the mission. Tell me what would go wrong if you carry on with the mission?
Innocent lives will be lost.
Innocent lives will be lost. And if you abort the mission,
Terrorists will attack.
they will be able to carry on the attack. What else?
But the terrorists might kill the hostages even if you abort the mission.
You never know, but just imagine that they are not that ruthless. Then what? You've also disobeyed a direct order. What will happen to your military career at that time? Court-martials. So either you carry on the mission and you're risking losing innocent lives, or you abort the mission, potentially allowing the terrorists to materialize their plans, and at the same time you can lose your career, your military career. So what is the right thing to do?
Keep on doing it.
Huh?
Follow the orders.
They'll die anyway.
Yes. So this is what I'm trying to get to, where sometimes an existential crisis puts you in a position where you don't find something pleasurable to do and you don't find any meaning in anything that you do. At that point, you feel like, what is the point of even living? What is the point of doing anything? That is an existential crisis. And who was feeling this crisis in the Gita? Arjuna. In the beginning of the Gita, this is his position. He was undergoing an existential crisis. Okay? Now, however, this point in time, I don't know how many of you have ever felt this way, that you are at a certain point in your life where whatever thing you do doesn't add up, or it doesn't make any sense, or whatever I might do, there's something to go wrong. How many of you have felt this in your life at all? Yeah? So now can you relate back to that time when you were going through this? And can you now understand Arjuna's thought process? Can you at least a bit try to understand that? But this is a very important junction in life. These existential crises can be a juncture in life where either it elevates you if you take a spiritual path, or it can take you further and further into more and more entanglement. Okay? So, these dilemmas, you should take them to be that they are not exposing our weakness, but we can utilize these dilemmas to rewire our inner maps. So, we have to try to reconfigure what we value and reconfigure what we find pleasurable to be able to move from here to here. Okay? So, the Gita tells us many things. The Gita says that you're a person. Okay? You're a person. You have your own things that you like to do. But you're also part of a family, you're also part of a community, you're part of a nation. Yeah? You play many roles. Yeah? You play many roles within your family, within your community, within your nation. Yeah? Can everyone agree to this? Yeah? We play many roles. But all of these roles are temporary. They are based on the body that we are currently in. What the Gita says is that there is Bhagwan here, Krishna. We also have a relationship with him. Okay? So the whole point of these dilemmas are to make us go outside the circles and focus more on our relationship with Bhagwan. These are like jolts. Like in life, you get a jolt. If you're going the wrong way, somebody just course corrects you. This is what crises are all about. Crises are meant to act like course corrections in our life. If we take it, then it can really progress our life. If we don't take it, we will keep on feeling all these dilemmas and a lot of doubting and a lot of stages where we won't actually improve our life. We just go down and down and down. Okay? So, doubt acts like a catalyst for deeper contemplation. Now, there are two types of doubt. There is a positive doubt and then there's a negative doubt. A positive doubt is like questioning. We are questioning, and that reveals that we are open-minded. And because we are open-minded, it can lead to deeper insights. This is a sign of intelligence. Negative doubt is known as doubting. It is a sign of narrow-mindedness. It leads to regression or stagnation. You don't actually improve from that situation when you have negative doubts. And this is a sign of irrationality and immaturity. Okay? So, normally, a spiritual journey always starts with a doubt. How many of you have lost a loved one? At that time, have you ever thought, okay, why did this happen to me? Like, what is, are you know, these jolts in life, these crises in life, have they ever made you question deeper in life? Like, I know many times people go to the crematorium, and when they're in the crematorium, they start to think, oh yeah, life is like this. And as soon as they step out of the crematorium, back to their normal way of life. But when in the crematorium, what happens to their thinking? They start to think, you know what, maybe we are not here eternally. We need to think more about life, something deeper. So these are like how we get that in matchsticks? Small light, but then what happens? It falls on the water. So that kind of spark kind of extinguishes. So these jolts in life are very important. There was a movie 20 years ago that released called The Matrix. I don't know if you know about it. There was a movie called The Matrix. And in the movie, there was a scene where the main character was given a choice. You take the red pill or you take the blue pill. If you take the blue pill, you can forget everything and just live in your illusion. Yeah? You can live as if life is going to go on like this and you can just forget everything is happening. Or you could take the red pill and actually wake up to reality. How many of you know this movie? Yes or no? By show of hands. So that's what we're trying to show here, that when you take the red pill, this coming to the course here is like you taking the red pill. You are trying to understand the deeper truths, the more spiritual aspects of life. Okay? Now, I want to ask you, have you ever questioned the material standards of happiness? Or have you thought about whether material advancement has increased our happiness or distress? Yes? No? Okay. I want to share a joke with you guys. It's called Welcome to the 21st Century, where our phones are wireless. cars are keyless. Our cooking has become fireless. Our foods are now fatless. Our dresses are sleeveless. Our youth are jobless. Our leaders are shameless. Children are mannerless. Relationships are meaningless. Feelings are heartless. Attitude is careless. Everything is becoming less, but still our hopes are endless. In fact, I am now speechless.
Wow.
You know, in the US they did a study. They did a study and they checked. They got all the boomers, yeah, like really old people, to think about their time when they were children. What were the three biggest issues that you faced in school? Do you know what the three biggest issues people faced in school 50 years ago? One was our teachers were being asked 50 years ago, what was the students like? They said that the three biggest problems they faced was kids were misbehaving, bullying, and gum being stuck underneath the desk seat. Yeah? And now they ask the teachers today, what are the biggest issues you're facing now? This is teenage pregnancies, gun violence, and bullying in America. Now, 50 years on, material advancement. Have we really advanced though? Have we really advanced? Yeah. The world has progressed through science and technology, but it has also caused a lot more distress. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, there was not even a single case of cancer. And now, cancer is one of the leading causes of death. Right? So, more advancement, but still, there has been no improvement in the mortality rate. Somebody asked Prabhupada, like, what do you think of the living standards here? What do you think of the mortality rate? And he said, last time I checked, it's still the same. And what do you mean? Oh, it's still 100%. Everyone dies. Everyone dies. No one can improve upon that. So, now I have a question for you guys. If you still don't believe that material life and material goals are unworthy, have you ever idolized someone in your life? Be honest. Have you ever idolized someone in your life? Yes or no? Who? Muhammad Salah?
No. Virgin.
Virgin, I like. Okay. Who else?
Messi.
Messi. Okay. Do you think Messi has got a perfect life? So why are you idolizing him?
Just like
Football life.
No, not football, like healthy.
Sorry, what? Famous.
No, healthy.
Healthy. Do you think that whoever you've idolized in life, are they truly happy?
No.
No. So, in life there are many influences that paint the picture of success. Right? They say that if you do this, you'll be happy. If you do this, you'll be happy. If you do this, you'll be happy. Yeah? Many people, our parents, teachers, social media, news, whatever, I don't know what is the bigger influences of the day, but these are the main ones. They say that if you do this, you'll be happy. If you do this, you'll be happy. Okay? But let us now look at an example of a life trajectory with standard material goals. First of all, you're born. So when you're born, you start playing toys, you start enjoying your life, and then you'll be told, Beta, stop playing, go to the school, start studying. And you'll be like, I don't want to go to school, I'm happy enjoying playing with my toys and all that. Now you go to school, you start enjoying, and then you graduate, you make friends, and then you'll be told, okay, study is finished, now you start working, get money. You get money, you'll be happy. Yeah? Okay, fine, you start getting a job, you get happy, and then what do the parents say next? Shabby. life is better with somebody on your side, as I said. And then you get married, you're enjoying life with your partner. Then what comes next?
Get kids.
Have kids. The parents here, are you enjoying or are you suffering? Having kids.
Finito.
So, because when you've got kids, you have to start working more, you have to earn more to provide for your dependents. And then finally what happens? You retire. And then are you enjoying at that time? Are you enjoying in your retirement?
Disease,
Health issue.
Body is not working. So this is the fallacy of material goals. So I know your notes, it doesn't show really well. But there are three things, okay?
It's on the screen.
Fine. Sorry. So when you are a young person, you have all the health and you have all the time in the world, but you have no wealth. When you're in your middle age, you have your health and wealth, but then you have no time. And when you're old, you have wealth and you have the time, and then you don't have the health to enjoy life. Right? So this is the fallacy, like you'll never ever be able to get it right. There's always one thing that is going to be not available. Okay? So, have you ever considered in your life that if this is what you're going to go through life, is this all there is in life? Is there something more to life?
Yes.
Have you ever thought about that? If you're not, start thinking about that. Right? Could there be something deeper to this in life? So, this is going to conclude the first part of the talk, where I'm going to start impressing upon the point that we need to start doubting the material goals and aspirations that have been set for us by so many different people in our life. Really try to think whether what we are trying to achieve in life, is it really going to make us happy? If it's not, then and you're starting to doubt those goals, that is actually the sign of intelligence. Because then you're starting to now really think about life in deep. You're not just going in like a autopilot mode. You're really trying to think whether, what am I really doing in my life? Yeah? So, the acronym doubt. D-O-U-E-T. So D stands for Drasht and Duryodhan. And that is between text 1 to text 12 of the first chapter. O is ominous results, which is text 13 to 20. Uncertainty, which is text 21 to 27. Bewilderment, which is 28 to 30. And then turning point between 31 to 46. So chapter 1 has 46 verses. So we're going to now go through all of this. And the interesting thing is that both in the first chapter, the Drashta has a doubt and Arjuna also has a doubt. But now we'll see the two different grades of doubts that these two people had. Okay? So, the Drashta is one of the root causes for this entire conflict. So in the Mahabharata, we have the big war between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Yeah? The Kauravas are basically King Dhritarashtra's party, and the Pandavas are King Pandu's descendants. Yeah? So the Kauravas are Duryodhana and company, Duryodhana and the other 100 sons. And on the other side, the Pandavas are the 5 sons of Pandu. They are cousin brothers. Okay, and now these two characters, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, their actions in the Mahabharata directly led to a family dispute become a big world war. Okay? So, both Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, they kind of represent a modern day materialist. How so? Okay? Now, what does a modern day materialist think? They think that the world is our playground. Yeah? Everything that there is in the world is for our enjoyment. It is for our enjoyment. Everything is to be used by me and for me. Right? And their ultimate happiness is in conquering everything. To becoming the best in the world. And maximizing the pleasures of this body. How many of you have seen people like this in their life? Have you? Yes? So, let us now see a bit more about these two personalities. Now, Dhritarashtra can be broken into two words. Dhrita means to hold, and Rashtra means kingdom. So, Dhritarashtra basically means to a person who keeps hold or hoarding his material possessions, who likes to, keep on hoarding stuff. They're so attached to material possessions, material positions, wealth, and all these things. Okay? So Dhritarashtra was actually blind. And so although he was the eldest son, because of his deformity, the throne went to his younger brother, Pandu. Okay? Now Pandu had an untimely death. So Pandu had 5 small children. Now these children were very small, they were not yet of age. So who has to become the next king? Normally the king's son becomes the next king. But at that time, the Pandavas were really, really small. So the throne was given to Dhritarashtra to be like an acting king. But because we know Dhritarashtra is a person who really wanted to be the king anyway, he was so attached to being the king that although he was just an acting king, he wanted to become the real king. And the way he can, because he was an acting king, he wanted to secure the throne for his own children. Yeah, just because he could not become the proper king, he wanted his children to become the proper kings. So he was so attached to that position, and he was attached to his children, that he kind of passively celebrated and encouraged his evil son Duryodhana and his evil-minded brother-in-law Shakuni in many conspiracies to try and eliminate the Pandavas. Can somebody tell me a few of the conspiracies that they did in the Mahabharata? Anyone who is aware of the Mahabharata can shout it out.
Putting poison in the clear and Bhima.
Yeah, to try and kill Bhima with poison.
Well, how they built a house made of wax.
House built of wax. Then the game of dice. Yeah. And of course, the many times that they tried to fight them during the exile as well. So that Dhritarashtra's mentality is kind of shown in this verse. First verse he only speaks one verse in the entire Gita, and that is the first verse of the Gita is spoken by Dhritarashtra. And within this verse, you see 3 main qualities. One is that he's attached. Because he's attached to position, titles, to wealth and everything, he became very partial towards his own sons, and he kind of distanced Pandu's sons. Although as the king, it was up to him to provide shelter to the Pandavas in the untimely death of Pandu. So he had to act like a father figure, but he was the most diabolical person in this case when he tried to eliminate the Pandavas. And all of this kind of highlights his fear. He was very fearful. He was fearful that the Pandavas will basically kick him out and throw him away. Yeah? So a key lesson that we need to listen and to hear is that sometimes people tell us that, oh, spirituality is trying to make people very detached with the world. Detachment is looked upon like a very negative term. But actually, attachment is what causes One to become very hard-hearted and cruel, as shown by Dhritarashtra. Detachment is actually a way for a person to keep his emotions in check so that he can make a more better informed decision. Yeah, when the person is attached, emotions go out of the window. Right? So attachment is what actually makes us hard-hearted, not detachment. Okay? That's one main lesson that you need to learn from here. Secondly, it is that small minds, actually this is a very famous phrase that Keshav Maharaj likes to say. He says that small minds like to discuss people, average minds discuss events, and great minds discuss wisdom. Right? So if you look at the first verse, if you look at what he's questioning, he's asking Sanjaya, what did they do? Which level does that come in? What did they do? Is that people, event, or wisdom? Yeah. What happened and what did they do? It is on the level of people and events. It's not going to cause any transformation of character. But Arjuna's question is like, what is the right thing to do? He's looking for what? He's looking for wisdom. And that is the difference. Now think back in your life, and even do this exercise at home. Think about all the times that you have been interacting with people. How much percentage of your communication with people is on the platform of discussing people and events, and how much of it is on the platform of discussing wisdom? You will find 99.9% of the time we are busy discussing what? People and events. We are hardly discussing wisdom. And if we don't discuss wisdom, how are we going to evolve or elevate our consciousness? And how are we able to make any tangible transformation in our life? Positive transformation in our life. Yeah? Okay. So, now we go to Duryodhana. Now Duryodhana is right over two words. Dur means bad or wicked, and Yodhana means warrior. So you put the two words together, it becomes wicked warrior. Now somebody might be asking, like, who would even name their son Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana if Dhritarashtra means somebody who holds on to material wealth and somebody, Duryodhana, means a wicked warrior? But actually that became a negative connotation. But a positive connotation could have been that Dhritarashtra is a very capable king that is able to keep the entire kingdom under his control. So he's a very disciplined king. That was the positive connotation. But and Duryodhana would be that he's such a strong fighter that he can keep the wicked in his control. But actually what would become? The opposite. He became a wicked warrior. Instead of a warrior who is able to conquer the wicked. Yeah? So even the names play a big they've got like a message in them. So what is Duryodhana? What are the characteristics of Duryodhana? Duryodhana's mentality is discussed from text number 3 to text number 12. Okay? He is very diplomatic. If you look in these verses, you will see how diplomatic Duryodhana is. Also, but his diplomacy is hiding his fear. He was very. Why was he fearful? Because when he came to the onset of the war, the way that the Pandavas had arranged their phalanxes, he was very overconfident. And because he was overconfident, and then he saw that, oh my God, I have underestimated these people. So he was fearful. And then because to mask that fearfulness, he was acting very diplomatic. He was an expert politician. Yeah? And lastly, he is a very exploitative person. If you look at the 9th text, you will see that Duryodhana says in that text number 9 that all the people who have come here have come to lay their lives down for me. Imagine how self-centered you have to be that you are openly saying that these people have come to die for me. Yeah, they are for my pleasure. They have come here because I've dictated them to come here. That's the exploitation and self-centeredness that Duryodhana had. So can you think of people in life or people you have dealt with that display this sort of qualities? Yes? No? Yeah? Okay. Now the key lesson that we want to learn from here is that both Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, they were facing a problem. Like on the battlefield, Duryodhana was facing fear. And also Arjuna was facing a problem. Now, what we have to understand is how do two categories of people, the ungodly, like Duryodhana, and the godly people, like Arjuna, how do they face problems in their life? So what Duryodhana does, and it is shown in the first 12 verses of the Gita, chapter 1, is that Duryodhana tries to utilize his intellect, he tries to use his political expertise, his diplomacy, his way of speaking, to try and encourage people to fight. But what does Arjuna do? He simply surrenders to God and tries to take God's guidance in life. While Duryodhana tries to face the problems with his own intelligence, his own might, his own thinking power, and his own ability. Okay, that's an ungodly way. But the godly way is to first surrender yourself to Bhagavan, to God, to get guidance from Him, and then utilize your God-given talents in that guidance. Okay. So, ominous results. Now this is the second part of the acronym. Text number 13 to 20. Now in all these points, we have seen that Duryodhana is very scared, he's very fearful. He's seeing the Pandava army and he's getting fearful. And then Sanjaya, he describes to Dhritarashtra that there's so many signs which are pointing towards the Pandavas' victory. So basically this is how the first chapter is going. It's going like this. It is showing the Pandavas' victory. Okay? From text 1.1 all the way to 1.20. Okay? It's showing the picture or the story is being painted towards Pandava victory. So what are the different things that are said? It said that the war is being fought on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is known as Dharmashetra Kurukshetra. In the first verse, it's called Dharmashetra Kurukshetra. So it's a holy land. So it's also saying that because it's a holy land, the party which is righteous is more favored. Right? If you say there's a match between India and Pakistan and the match is being played in India, who is going to win? And if the match is being played in Pakistan, who's going to win? India. Yes. No, there's no home field advantage.
Australia won.
Okay? So, battlefield of Kurukshetra is a holy land. 2. It is said that the Pandavas' functions, they were transcendental in sound. No such word was utilized to describe the functions of the Kauravas. 3. It shattered the hearts of the Kauravas. When the Kauravas blew their functions to signal the start of the war, there was no shattering of hearts on the side of Pandavas. When the Pandavas blew their functions, it shattered the hearts of the Kauravas. Number 4. Arjuna's chariot was actually a gift by Agnidev. And what was so special about his chariot was it was capable of conquering the 10 directions and all over the 3 worlds. Okay? Number 5. There was Hanuman present on the chariot of Arjuna. Number 6. Krishna is directly on the side of Arjuna. So where Krishna is, of course, is victory there. And 7. Krishna is also known as Madhava. Madhava means the husband of goddess of fortune. And if fortune is on the side is a wife of Vishnu, of course, Arjuna will have tremendous fortune at the end of the war. So all these signs are pointing towards Pandava's victory. But then, what happens is, Arjuna starts having uncertainty. Now look at the story build up. Now it's all going downhill. Now Arjuna is having doubts. He's starting to having uncertainty. He's losing his determination to fight this war. Okay? So what Arjuna did after doing his function is that he did the unthinkable. He told Krishna to take his chariot and put it in the middle of the two armies. Okay? So why did he order Krishna to take the chariot in between the two armies? For what purpose? To see who is going to fight? But he knows who is going to fight. He knows it's the Kauravas. Why did he take the chariot? Or why did he ask Krishna to take the chariot in the middle? It's because he wanted to see how intent the Kauravas were in fighting this war. He wanted to see the intent. Now, he thought that all the people who have come to fight here, they must be like Duryodhana himself. They must be like evil-minded and heartless like Duryodhana. And Krishna knew this. So what did Krishna do? He took the chariot and he placed it in between the two people that Arjuna looks up to in the whole army. Who are the two people that he looks up to? One is Vishwadeva and Dronacharya. Now this sight breaks Arjuna. He thinks like, I think everyone who's come to fight is as evil as Duryodhana party. But then when Krishna expertly puts the chariot in between two people who he knows that Arjuna has so much respect and love for. And then he realizes, oh my God, there's Bhishma there's Dronacharya, two of my respected elders. They are the ones who showed me how to become an archer. They showed me so much love. They basically practically raised me. And then I have to now be the cause of their deaths. I have to fight them to death. Well, imagine this is what broke Arjuna. Okay? Then Arjuna, because now his determination was broken, he started now looking around him. And both sides he saw that there are relatives and kinsmen and every dear person in his entire life, they are on both sides. So now this war is going to finish everything. Is going to finish everything. So this compassion for not fighting, it extended so much that now I cannot fight, because wherever I look, they are friends and well-wishers. They are friends and well-wishers. So now Arjuna was uncertain of fighting the war. Now, next. When he saw this friends and relatives all around, he started becoming bewildered and confused about what is his actual duty. He valued what? He valued, we come back here, he valued being a Kshatriya, but he also valued his family members. Yeah? So, there are 2 points here. He has 2 duties. He has a duty towards society by being a warrior and trying to set what is right. And he's also got a duty towards his family, to protect the family. But now look at his existential crisis. Now, he has to fight against aggressors and he has to protect his family. But what to do when the family itself becomes the aggressors? What to do then? So he had 2 duties. He had a Kshatriya duty, meaning he had to fight aggressors, and he had a Kula Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma, Kula Dharma. And he was torn between following these 2 dharmas that he had to do. Okay? So Arjuna then basically this carrying of dharmas between him, it caused so many symptoms inside him. If you look in the text number 28 and 29, it gives a whole list of the emotions that Arjuna was going through on the battlefield. Like limbs were quivering, the mouth was drying up, he was crying out of compassion, his whole body was trembling, the hair was standing on end, his Gandiva bow was slipping from his hand, his skin was burning, he was unable to stand, and he was forgetting himself, and his mind was reeling. Imagine if this was happening to you. It's such a strong sense of emotions. Now, because of this, Arjuna was put into a material conception of life due to excessive attachment for material things, and all of this was because Krishna wanted it to be this way, so that he could then speak the Gita to Arjuna. So, Arjuna, at this point, he thought, if I fight, it's a lose. If I don't fight, I'm still losing out. And how does he think that? We'll see now in the next part, which is the turning point. Arjuna, in spite of having such strong emotions, still had a very calm and calculative head, a very articulate head, to come up with 4 different reasons why to not fight the war. Yeah? To not fight the war. So, the first reason is that he was having compassion for his relatives and kinsmen. This we will find in text number 31. Second reason is that he said that even if I am victorious, everyone who is going to die in this battlefield, who am I going to enjoy my victory with? There is no enjoyment in the victory, because like a material person calculates, if I get like money, then I will spend it on my family, I will enjoy with my family, I will be able to share the joy, double the joy, right? But if there's no one to share the joy with, where's the doubling of joy? 3, he was fearing sinful reactions, and finally he was thinking that there will be serious harmful effects in destroying the family. So between text number 31 to text number 43, he covers 4 big reasons why he doesn't feel like, or why he's convincing himself not to fight in the war. Okay? Now, as he said before, that these reasons kind of broke Arjuna's inner map, and it led to an existential crisis. Okay? He did not know whether to follow his Kula Kshatriya Dharma, which is protect the citizens, or to follow his Kula Dharma to protect the aggressors. And that caused his existential crisis, that his family members themselves became the aggressors. Okay? So these reasons caused Arjuna to mentally surrender, and he was willing to lay down his life rather than to fight. He tells Krishna that I don't know what is better to do, whether to fight them or to be killed by them. He was ready to be killed, unarmed. He said, let them kill me, I'm not going to pick up any weapons. That is the depth of Arjuna's existential crisis, that he was willing to die on the battlefield unopposed. Yeah? Now, overcome with grief, Arjuna cast aside his bow and arrows, and he sat down on the chariot. So Arjuna had essentially given up his determination to fight or to get on with life. How many of you ever felt in your life that there's no determination to do anything left now? I cannot do this. Like, I've lost all determination to do anything. How many of you have felt that in your life? You have felt that? You felt that? Any of you guys have felt that things have gotten so bad that just getting up out of bed to do something, that will is not there anymore? How many of you felt this? Yeah? Be honest. We are being very honest here. This is because we want to see how relevant our life is with how Arjuna was facing the life on the battlefield. Like, if you don't see the connection, or if you cannot appreciate the connection, we will not have an impetus to want to go further into this. Yes or no? Yeah? But, okay, maybe not to this level, but some days you must have felt that my determination to follow something is no longer there. Yeah? So, now this is where we are going to now do a relevant exercise. We want to try and build our determination. How to become determined in life. Simply, the quality of our determination will determine the quality of our life. As simple as that. The more determined one person is, the more that their life will be they'll be able to enjoy life. Because they'll be able to achieve their goals. A person who is not determined will never achieve their goals. Right? So, what causes determination? Determination comes when we have a vision. Okay? If you don't have a vision in life, that is not going to fuel our determination. People will have a vision that, oh, I want to become, or if you're a football fan like I am, then if you see some of these footballers, they have like dreams. What's your dream in life? Oh, my dream is to win the World Cup. My dream is to win the Champions League, whatever it is. But there's a vision in life. That vision fuels their determination to give their best every single day so that they can achieve their vision. Right? So determination is fueled by your vision. How many of you agree to that point? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So when we have a vision, this vision is also known as having a strong why. Okay? When we have a strong why, then that fuels our vision, that fuels our determination. So, for example, I can only talk from my own family experience, but when my grandfather came from India to Mombasa, he had no option. Failure was not an option. He had to make it work somehow. And I'm guessing this is the case for most of you here, that when our forefathers came to this country, they were working from zero, and because they had this determination that we need to make our life successful so that our future generations can live more comfortably. Yeah? How many of you, is this storyline or this resonating with you? Yes? So for them, failure was not an option. They had a very strong why. Why they need to succeed. Why they need to have this vision. And that kind of became a hallmark of their determination. If you think about many generations before us, they were very determined people. Very determined people. I don't know, but this is what I feel. This is the case. So, there might be many examples in the world, and of course in your life, of how people have overcome insurmountable odds to achieve their dreams. Yeah? But life is always throwing curveballs. It's always throwing obstacles and stumbling blocks in your life. And these ones, they shake our belief system. They shake our vision. They shake our determination. They shake our why. When that happens, when life throws at you an obstacle, when you start even questioning your why, oh that my God, that leads to an existential crisis, and that is very bad. Okay? So when you lack a vision, or when you lose the determination to follow a vision that you have, at that point life becomes meaningless. Okay? Now, think of yourselves in a tunnel, a dark tunnel, and then you see a light. What is going to stop you from going to the light?
Yourself.
Yourself. Okay? What if suddenly the light vanishes and there's complete pitch dark? Then what happens to you?
Stop, you'll be confused.
You'll be confused. So the light disappearing is like the first thing. It is when your vision gets lacked. You will start lacking a vision. Because now you don't see the shining light anymore. So your vision for life is completely erased. Another thing is, you get to the light, you get closer, closer, closer. But all you see is that you get to the light, but actually it was not the light of outside, it was a tube light. It was a very powerful tube light that was basically hiding a further tunnel ahead of it. So you get to the tube light and you're like, oh my god, I was chasing this, but actually there's no end to the tunnel. The tunnel is still going on. It was just like a very bright tube light, but the tunnel is still going on. So what happens when you get to the light? You'll be like, oh my god, this was pointless. Yeah, I've achieved what I thought was the end of the tunnel, only to realize that the tunnel is still continuing. Yeah, the tunnel is still continuing. So this kind of shows our losing of determination, because you achieve so many goals, but then these goals don't actually make us happy. We try so hard, we try, okay, I'll become the best, I'll become a CEO, I'll become the president, I'll become all these great goals that we set for ourselves, thinking that if we achieve these goals, we'll become very happy. But then when we do achieve the goals, that feeling of happiness, it eludes you. It doesn't stay with you. And then you'll be like, is there really any point in life? I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve, but yet I'm feeling a bit of emptiness in my life. I'm feeling that there is no happiness in my life. So even that feeling of achieving yet not achieving also makes you lose your determination. Yes or no? Yeah? So this is like a loop. You're in a tunnel, but the tunnel just keeps on looping. So for example, some person might say that, okay, I'm living on the street. It'll be so nice that instead of walking, I can earn money so that I can get a bicycle to go from one place to another place. I've got a bicycle, now I wish I had a motorcycle. I've got a motorcycle, now I wish I had a four-wheeler. I've got a four-wheeler, now I wish I had got a helicopter or a jet. So there is no end to our shifting goals. So if you think you're going to reach here, like a shining light here, you will achieve this, there's another shining light. You achieve this, there's another shining light. You achieve that, there's another shining light. But what is happening? You're just going round and round and round. Right? Or this could be a funny thing. If you take two people, one person very poor and one person very rich, and you ask them, are you happy in your house right now? This person says, no, I wish I had a bigger house. You ask this person, what about you? You got your pension. No, I wish I had a bigger house. Both of them, one is living in a hut, one is living in a palace. Yet this person wants more, this person wants more. So one person is just here, one person is there, but still, just going round and round and round. So, Arjuna also faced his junction in life when he was having an existential crisis, and he was now putting his bow. You know the famous Gandhiva bow. This bow represents determination. His bow was slipping from his hand; it was lowered. So this bow represents our determination. So Arjuna at the beginning of the Gita is leaving his bow down, but at the end of the Gita, it says that he has raised his bow again. That means he has now regained his determination to face life. So the Gita, in essence, is a journey of a person going from zero determination to full determination. Does this resonate with you guys? Do you guys want to be fully determined to live life now? Yes? So, the journey to do that, as I said, is your why feeds what? Your vision. Your vision feeds what? Determination. Yeah? So if you want unbreakable determination, you need a unbreakable why. Does this make sense? If you want unbreakable determination, you must have an unbreakable why. Yeah? And this is what spirituality is all about. Spirituality is a tool for one to basically uncover their deepest why. Okay? How many of you understood what I said? No? Raise your hand. Spirituality is a tool to help one discover their deepest why. Now, I dropped this off, but you know the diagram I drew of one person having many duties, right? All these duties are temporary, okay? But we have an eternal duty. We discussed this in the introduction, if you remember. We discussed that the whole Gita is focused on that Sanatan Dharma. And these bodily duties we have are known as Swadharma. The two things, Swadharma, Sanatan Dharma. So the Gita raises us from the platform of Swadharma, which is a platform of temporality, because our Swadharmas keep on changing. Yeah? When you're a kid, your Swadharma is different. When you're a parent, your Swadharma becomes different. So it keeps on changing. But one thing that doesn't change is who you are and what is your connection with God. So the more you fix your why or your sense of understanding of your vision based on the eternal aspect of your being, that will give you unbreakable determination. Okay? So Arjuna goes from a state of depression to a state of not depression. Now depression, depressed, can be written as deep rest. Yeah? When you are depressed, you feel like taking a deep rest. You just don't want to be associating with people around you, doing anything constructive. You just want to have a deep rest. But that doesn't help, right? We need a vision that will excite us, that a vision that will inspire us. And that again, as I said, comes from an unbreakable why. And Krishna says that this unbreakable why is by one embarking on the greatest journey of their life. It is known as the journey within, to find the essence of oneself. Once you are able to understand who you are, what you are, then only will you be able to make a plan in life that is suited to the actual goal of life. Okay? So, spirituality has two parts. Spirituality has a theoretical part and it has a application part, just like any science. Science is what? Science has got a theoretical part to it and then it has got a practical part to it. So, the theoretical part of spirituality is philosophy. The philosophy gives a framework of life which basically maps out the route of ultimate happiness. But that's theoretical knowledge. You need to apply that knowledge. When you apply that knowledge, then only will you be able to experience that whatever was theorized in the philosophy actually makes sense in life, in practical life. So spirituality has two parts. The philosophy is a theoretical part, and the application part is what is known as religion. Religion is nothing but the practical side of spirituality. And you need both. You need philosophy, and at the same time you need to apply that philosophy. And when you apply that philosophy, it becomes religion. Religion is a set of rituals. Yeah? It's a set of rituals. But rituals on its own doesn't help. You need to add spirit to it. You need to add the spiritual soul. Then only will it become spiritual. Right? So some people say that, oh, religion, what does religion help? But just doing religion or doing rituals without understanding the philosophy, without putting the spirit within it, it makes no transformation. Okay? So one way I always like to put it is religion religion is equals to engineering. And you'll be like, huh? What do you mean by that? How is religion equals to engineering? This is not any engineering. This is something known as lifestyle engineering. Religion changes your lifestyle. It by taking all these rituals in your life and by changing certain aspects of your life, it will cause you to really benefit, and you'll be able to find deeper and deeper levels of pleasure. Okay? Now, you'll be like, oh, this is all well and good, but is there a practical application of this? Let me present to you a perfect example of a person who was showing extraordinary amount of determination. And that is Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Now, Srila Prabhupada, his life story just kind of encompasses and embodies an extreme amounts of determination. He left India to go to the West at the age of 69. Imagine leaving your comfort zone and going to preach outside at the age of 69. You do not know anyone there. On his way to USA, he suffered 2 heart attacks on the way. He suffered 2 heart attacks, and yet he kept on going. He went with only 40 rupees and nothing else, no contacts. He had no one in the US to preach to. He had 1100 pages of manuscript which was stolen, so he had to start again from afresh. All his translations and all that. Then if that was not enough, his typewriter got stolen. Then he lived among the lowest of the lows. He lived among the acid heads, the people who were addicted to ecstasy, LSD, all these different drugs. Yeah? And hippies in the worst part of New York, which is downtown New York. And then when ISKCON started growing, he faced a lot of media scrutiny. People were accusing him of brainwashing the people. And he faced a lot of media scrutiny. But all of this he endured because he had a very strong determination. He was convinced of the philosophy and he was determined to follow the instructions of his spiritual master. And because that instructions were based on the deepest why, on the level of the soul, that is what gave him unbreakable determination to follow these instructions and to make all this that you see possible. This entire temple was possible because of his divine grace. Now, the first chapter is going to show us how the world tells us to leave the problems behind, but the Gita teaches us to learn from the problems at hand. Okay? The world tells us that when we are faced with a crisis, we try to make the first reaction is to escape from that place. But the Gita tells us that, oh, you should have a growth mindset. You should face problems head on. It forces us to ask questions like, every difficulty we encounter is an opportunity to make us grow. Okay? The world teaches us that we want to create distance, try to seek relief and mitigate any immediate discomfort. And the default response is to make changes to our external adjustments to solve our problems. But the Gita teaches us problems will keep on coming. What needs to change is your internal mindset. When your mindset changes, then we'll be able to look at problems not as problems, but as challenges through which you can grow. Yeah? The world makes us question, why is this thing happening to me? And Gita teaches us, how can I learn from this and grow from this? So can you see how different the world's viewpoint is and how different the because Gita's viewpoint is, if you're able to really master the Gita's teachings, we will be able to grow a lot as our individual personality. Okay? Now the last thing that we are going to show is just a summary. I'm not going to go through this. This is for your own notes, for your own time to go through them. And hopefully everything is summarized in just one slide for your benefit. Okay? Any questions? Any realizations, any points you like from this class that you want to share, that resonated with you? So all of you were sleeping in the class or what?
It's a lot of things to digest.
Yeah, a lot of things to digest. Any one point that you thought that, oh my God, this is something I can take away from today. Just so that I know that you guys are paying attention to me.
For me, it was that statement. Why? Vision, determination. And how spirituality is a tool for you to discover yourself from more deeply. That was the thing.
Anyone else? Yes. First David, and
Something that touched me is what you said. I look at it from the end point of view, whereby in the world as it is, you're made to run away from the problems instead of learning from them. Because there's always this statement that people literally trying to stuff into your nose, mouth, and ears. You move on. You move on. And I find that statement is wrong. Moving on is actually what is told us here that is running away from it instead of learning.
very good. Yes.
I like the question. It says, rather than thinking, why is this happening to me? Think, how can I learn and grow from this?
Yeah.
What I learned is go down plus Gita equals go up. I love that.
Amazing. Alright, any more additions? Any more comments? Otherwise we'll call it a day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama